Good afternoon. Today is the 10th of May, and it's time to do what we've been doing for the past 4.5 years every month and look at the top 10 best-selling cars in the UK of April 2023. I'm pleased to say that despite rampant inflation, cost of living crisis, and everything else that's happening in the world at the moment, the actual figures for last month for the UK car industry are an improvement. Now, they're not back to what things were before the pandemic. We're seeing about the same number of sales of new cars as we did in about 2011 for April, but they are better than they were. In fact, they're up by about 12%, which is pretty good. So I will refer to the new car sales. They're technically registration, so if you've ordered a new car in the last 6 months, it's just come, this will be actually when that particular sale is recorded, when the car is registered, as opposed to when you put your deposit down or whatever it is. So that's the way that it's done. First thing we'll do is we will look at the breakdown in the sales for the private, fleet and business sectors. The private sector is actually down quite a lot for some reason. I don't really know why. I'm not perhaps surprised, perhaps in a way. If you've got inflation rampant and new car prices are very high now, that might be something to do with it. I'm not sure. But in April 2022, the market share for private sales was about 55%. It's now 46%. The number of cars actually sold in the private sector has gone down from 65,000 to 61,000. It's a 5.5% negative change. For the fleet sector, it's quite the reverse. It's actually a 33% increase. It's gone up from 52,000 cars sold in April 2022 to 69,000 cars sold last month. The market share has gone up from 43% to 52%. So there we go. Business sectors, very little change. Number of cars sold has increased, but it's generally within the trend that we're seeing. It's about 13% up, and that means the market share is exactly the same, 2.3%. Number of cars sold has gone from about 2,700 to about 3,100. Now let's look at the sort of power source mix that we have. There's a reason we don't talk about diesels on this channel, viewers, is because it's becoming increasingly less relevant on the new car market, and also with all these stupid ultra emission and clean air zones and things like that. It's just sort of basically being removed very slowly from any kind of relevance for the average new car buyer, certainly. Used car, that's a different story. But the market share for them has decreased from April 2022 to last month by 13. But the number of sales has decreased by 13%. The market share has gone down from 5.6 to 4.4%. Number of cars sold has gone from 6,700 to 5,800, which is quite significant. That's the biggest drop of any kind of power source on here. The only other drop on here, and bear in mind the market's up by about 12%, is mild hybrid forbidden fuel engines, which are making up a very small minority of sales now. We're not talking about things like pickup trucks; those registered completely differently. We're not talking about vans so much. There are very few manufacturers, I think, apart from the big sort of SUV things, that kind of offer these engines for people in normal family cars now. There aren't that many. I think Golfs you can still get with them. I think you could still get Focuses with them, but there's not a lot anymore, really. So yeah, the mild hybrid ones, they have gone from a market share of 5% last April to 4.3% last month. It's a 3% downward change in the number of sales, which has gone from 5,900 to about 57.50. Petrol, on the other hand, it's still remaining resolutely kind of strong. There's only been a very small sort of alteration in the market share, comparatively speaking. The market share has gone down from 46% to 43%. The actual number of sales has gone up, but because we're in a market that's overall up by 12%, a 4% increase in the sales of petrol cars still reflects a drop in market share. So it's gone down from about 55, so it's up from 55,000 cars to 57,000 cars, but that's just because markets overall increased. Mild hybrids, that's not really changed particularly much. The market shares changed from 15.6 to 15.3%. This is all sorts of cars now, from Kias, Volkswagens, a lot of Suzuki's and mild hybrid. There's tons and tons of them now. That's really changed quite a lot. Where we buy cars, but not significantly in the last year. So 9.7% increase in the number of sales. That still means a slight drop in market share, but number of cars sold has gone from 19,000 to about 20,400. Battery electric vehicles, predictably an increase, both in terms of percentage change of sales, but also in the market share. The market share has gone from 11% to about 15%. In percentage terms of sales, that has gone from 13,000 to 20,500. A very, very big increase indeed, which is, I think, surprising considering that consumer interest in new electric cars and Auto Trader actually declined by about 2/3 since January 2022. But of course, these are lagging a lot behind the actual people putting down deposits on these cars now. These are historic, orders that are coming through, and some of these have had lead times of a year or more. So we're not quite seeing that particular kind of decrease in interest come through to anything which reflects the actual sales at the moment. Plug-in hybrids, this has actually changed quite a lot as well. It's not as much as the pure electric cars, but it has changed. The market share has gone from 5.4% to 6.5%. It's a 33% increase in sales, which is very significant. Gone from about 6,500 to 8,600 since April 2022. Obviously we're comparing like for like, we're comparing April 2023 to April 2022. So that's not all the plug-in hybrids have been sold since then. It's just comparing month to month. And then the hybrid electric vehicles. This is actually below the rate of sales increase. The market share has declined very slightly, 11.7, 11.3. The number of hybrid vehicles, the biggest seller, of course, of this is the Toyota Corolla, I think, and the Yaris, and some of the Suzukis are full hybrid now as well. We're not talking plug-in hybrid, we're talking mild hybrids, talking the sort of standard hybrids. I don't use the term self-charging hybrid because I think it's totally meaningless. But the number of cars sold as in that category has gone from 14,000 to 15,000. We can now look at the top 10 bestsellers. That's probably why you clicked on the title of this video, and it's surprising to see that although the Corsa hasn't, I think, quite been a monthly bestseller so far this year from what I've seen, it's still a number one spot overall, so that's not going to change particularly. The Fiesta is still in this chart, which is amazing, but it's massively outsold at the moment by its Ford Puma counterpart, which sits on the same chassis. I don't think they're sold in they're made in the same factory anymore. I don't think so. But the Puma's in first place at 3,570 cars. Then the Corsa, 3,203. The Sportage is in third place at 3,073. The Tucson, which is basically the same car, a different body, 2911. Then the Audi A3 for some reason, I don't know why that is, that's an unusual entry into the top 10. In fifth position, 2548. Then sixth is the Qashqai, 2538. So it's very close actually towards the bottom of the table. The Volkswagen T-Roc, massively outselling the Golf for some reason at the moment. 7th position, 2385. Then the Fiesta still clinging on. The production actually ends next month for the Fiesta entirely. 2336, 8th position. Then the MG ZS. I'm not really surprised about this because the ZS is a car that I quite like. I've driven all versions of ZS. 1.5 manual, 1.5 auto, so 1.5 post facelift manual, 1 litre auto pre facelift, 1 litre auto post facelift, 1 litre manual post facelift, only over after the facelift again in 2020, and of course the two different electric versions, the pre facelift and the post facelift one. So lots of different ones on sale. And the prices have increased an awful lot. Those cars used to start when they were launched in 2017 at £12,045, which is a insanely low price. Or it might be 12.5 actually, but insanely low price. You didn't get air conditioning or anything like that with your 1.5 manual ZS Explorer, but it just goes to show the design's relatively old now. It came out in 2017, and yet it's still in the top 10 bestsellers, probably mostly due to the electric versions these days, I think. But because fewer people are maybe thinking about buying an electric car now, that seems to be the case, than it was maybe 12 months ago. The petrol ones, which are still pretty cheap for the size of the car you get, that's probably why they're doing so well. But it's a very competitive market at this level. Fiesta sold one more car than the MG ZS. We live in a strange world, viewers. The Mini, 2,304. So we'll now look at the manufacturers individually and see how they're doing. So we'll look at the market share from April 2022. We'll look at the market share from last month. Look at percentage change and then the number of cars that they sold in those two relative months. Abarth's always the first. I don't know how much they're going to be selling the variations on the old 500 design, the 595 and 695. I don't know really. I think they're going to try to make themselves an electric brand. That's what I've heard. But they only sold 57 cars last month. That was it. They actually sold quite a lot more in 2022 in April. Market share's gone from 0.11 to 0.04. The percentage change is actually minus 55%. Alfa Romeo, maybe it's due to the Tonale coming into dealerships. I don't really know. Some of you might have to tell me about that, but that's even so not been a huge seller. I don't think I've ever seen a Tonale outside of a motor show so far, but 28% up on April 2022, which is good. Market share's gone from 0.08 to 0.1, and the number of cars sold has gone from 101 to 129. Alpine, I'm probably not going to include Alpine because they only sell about 20 cars a month. Audi, far more significant. A lot of cars sold last month, mainly I suspect A3s. Let's close this sunroof before I get wet. There we go. Mainly A3s because that's number 5 best-selling car of the month. Percentage increase actually 15%, which is above the 12% average. So the number of cars sold has gone from 10,000 last April to 11,000. But over 400 actually last month, and the market share has gone up from 8.3 to 8.6%. So that's very good for them. Bentleys remain remarkably similar. The market share is about 0.11%. BMW have not done as well as Audi, like really not done as well as Audi. They've actually dropped, or Audi have increased. They have only sold 6,800 cars. Last April, it was 7,500 cars. As a consequence, their market share has gone down from 6.3% to 5.1%. And that, in terms of number of cars sold, is a 9% decrease. BYD, we're not going to count because there's nothing to compare it against from last year. Citroën, not good. 9% decrease. Market share has gone down from what's it on here? 2% to 1.7. Sorry about that. That's a stereo telling me that I've got the faceplate on. Market share has gone down from 2% to 1.7. Number of cars sold has gone from 2,500 to 2,200, and the number of cars sold has decreased by 9%. Cupra, very good month for Cupra. They've pretty much doubled their sales. I don't know how much of that is the Cupra Born. I'm not really sure. I do see Cupras around, but if I'm the sort of person that I am, then I sort of prefer just the normal Seats. It's just me personally. It's 101% increase in sales, which is very good. That's just about 1,000 to about almost 2,000 actually. Market share has gone from 0.81 to 1.45. Very good. Dacia, similarly, a good increase. Not as much as Cupra, but still very good. It's not turned that all the way off to so the stereo can go off again. 36% increase. Market share has gone from 1.8 to 2.2%. Number of cars sold has gone from 2,200 to 2,900. DS, unlike Citroën, I should say Citroën because that's actually how you're supposed to pronounce it. That's had a 107% increase. It's gone past Cupra in that way. Market share's almost doubled from 0.1% to about 1.9. But that's only 124 cars versus 257. So it's not a massive increase. Fiat, a bit like Abarth, not particularly good. We could do with some new models probably, Fiat. Gone from 1.5% of the market to 0.98. Number of cars sold has gone from 1,800 to 1,300, to just 27% decrease. Ford have been beaten by Audi. Yes, they have. Now they've slightly increased the amount of cars sold. It's gone from just over 10,000 to 10,300. But because the market overall is up by 12% and they're only up by 2.3%, the market share has actually decreased. It's gone from 8.4 to 7.7. Genesis is very small in terms of the actual figures increase, but it's actually 68% on last year, which is remarkable. Great Wall Motors with the Aura Funky Cat, that doesn't really count. We can't measure it against last year. Honda, for some reason, despite having a couple of really nice looking cars, actually. I think the HRV and New Civic are really nice looking cars, although they are quite expensive. They've had a 90% decrease. The market share has gone from 2.4 to 1.7%. The number of cars sold has gone from 2,900 to 2,300. Hyundai, a slight increase, but a drop in market share. 0.78% increase. Number of cars sold has basically stayed the same, 6,500, 6,600, but the market share has decreased to 4.9% from 5.5%. Ineos, we won't count them because we're not to compare it against. Jaguar, we all know about Jaguar not doing well, and they're not at all. Last month, it was a decrease compared with April 2022 of 38%. Market share has dropped from 0.9 to 0.5. Number of cars sold has gone from 1,100 to 700. Jeep, another Stellantis brand, not doing particularly well. Sold far less cars from Jaguar, much less. Only 115 cars last month. April 2022 was 180. Their market share has dropped from 0.15 to 0.09. I wonder if SsangYong's outsold Jeep, actually. That might be interesting. As a SsangYong owner, obviously, I appreciate such things. Yeah, 36% decrease. Kia, an increase. It's better than Hyundai. It's still not, the best. Sometimes they can beat Ford, but it's about 5%. Market share's gone from 6.4 to 5.97, simply just because the market's up by 12%. Number of cars sold has actually increased, though, from 7,600 to 7,900. Land Rover, a far more popular brand than Jaguar these days, but there's still a decrease in sales by 11%. Market share has gone from 3.8 to 3%. Number of cars sold has gone from 4,500 to 4,000. Lexus, a big increase. We like Lexus this year. Not so keen on the looks of them, but they do appeal to me more than sort of like, I don't know, a Mercedes or a BMW or something, really. That's coming for somebody who actually also owns a Mercedes now. Lexus, 72% increase. Gone from 500 cars to 900 cars, 0.3% to 0.67%. Maserati again, tiny variation, 62 versus 67 cars. Maxus, for some reason, there's one car registered as a car in this chart, and I don't really understand why. Never mind, let's look at Mazda instead. Not a huge variation on last year, a very slight drop of 0.75%. That means about 2,200 cars either side. But because of the overall increase in the market, they've gone from 1.89% to 1.68%. Mercedes-Benz, who were challenging Audi at one point for market share and things, they are not doing particularly well with this new agency model or something. Sales are down by 22%. Number of cars sold has gone down from 6,500 to 5,100, and the market share has decreased from 5.5 to 3.9%. MG, you've almost outsold them. MG, and they've had a very good month indeed. Predictably, we have a car in the top 10, and that's what tends to happen. 85% increase. Market share has gone from 2.28% to 3.8%. Number of cars sold has gone from 2,700 to 5,000. Have they outsold Hyundai? No, not quite. It's getting there. They've outsold Nissan though, but we'll go with Mini first. Mini, not so good. 11% decrease. Was 3.4% of the market. Now it's 2.7%. Number of cars sold has gone from 4,000 to 3,600. Peugeot, bucking the Stellantis trend. Excellent. 11% increase. Market share has gone down very slightly though, from 4.2 to 4.15%. Number of cars sold has increased from 5,000 to 5,500. Polestar, again, like Cupra and DS, the sort of more luxury-oriented brand, and only electric brand actually, Polestar, owned by the same company as Volvo. 189% increase. They were 0.3% of the market, they're now 0.9%. Number of cars sold has gone from 409 to 1,200. Porsche, 75% increase. Market share has gone from 0.9% to 1.4% of the market. Number of cars sold 1,100 to 1,900. Excellent. I don't know why, but there we go. Renault. I think the Capture is the best-selling model, which is the car that I drove back in January on my channel and has had an extraordinary number of views on that video. I don't know why, but whoever's watched the Renault Capture video, not the first generation one, the second generation Capture, the 2022 model, that's been a really popular video, and I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you very much. Their market share has decreased from 2% to 1.8%. Sales has dropped by about 4.4%, so not massively. It's really not even significant. It's sort of 2,500, 2,300 mark. Seat, unlike Cupra, they're not increasing. I don't know why. Who knows? Maybe somebody can tell me why Cupra have actually outsold Seat this month, because they have. Isn't that crazy? Absolute madness. Yes. 2.6% decrease. Market share has dropped from 1.6 to 1.4. Number of cars sold has gone down for just over 1,900, just under 1,900. Skoda, much more successful in this country. You've seen this as like a cheaper brand, even if the cars aren't actually that cheap really these days, I would say. 38% increase. Market share has gone from 3.2 to 4%. Number of cars sold has gone from 3,800 to 5,300, which is really, really good. And they outsold MG. Excellent. Smart, not really anything of significance here quite yet until the Smart #1 appears. SsangYong have outsold Jeep. They sold 149 cars last month, but last April they sold 173. So it's a 40% decrease. The market share has dropped from 0.15 to 0.11. Subaru, though, it's not good. Really, they've had a 12.5% increase, which is above the market, so their market share remains constant on 0.06%, but they only sold 81 cars last month as opposed to 72 last year. Suzuki, not a decrease, so that's good, I suppose. They have had an increase of 0.72. Market share has gone from 1.2 to 1.05. Number of cars sold, though, has gone from, well, about 1,400 to 1,400. It's about the same. Tesla, because of the way they import their cars, it's all a bit skewed. They've actually had the biggest increase of all. It's about 1,400%. But that just depends when the boat comes in with the cars to be registered, actually, because Tesla UK register the cars themselves, not the actual dealers, because they're all actually owned by the importer. They're not independent franchises. Toyota, so 6,500 cars sold last month. It's a 7% increase. Last April was about 6,100, but the market shares decreased ever so slightly from 5.1 to 4.9%. Vauxhall, not bad actually, 29.8% increase. Market share has gone from 5% to 5.9%, and the number of cars sold has gone from 6,000 to 8,000. We've got to sell those courses somehow. Let's just check on here whether Volkswagen have outsold Audi. No, they haven't. They got very close to outselling their parent company, outselling one of their more upscale brands, even if the cars are very common now. I mean, Audis are very, very common cars, as you can see from these figures. They're far more common than Vauxhalls are, but they're seen as more upscale. But Volkswagen themselves had a very good month. 61% increase. Market share has gone from 6%, about 6.1% to about 8.9%. Number of cars sold has gone from 7,300 to 11,800. Volvo, last one I'm going to talk about. Again, a very good month, 24% increase. Market share has gone from 2.5 to 2.8%. Obviously, I own a Volvo, but it's from 1991, so it's a bit different. So, yeah, 3,000 cars up to 3,700. The overall total for last month, about 133,000 as opposed to 120,000 April 2022. So overall, not too bad. Lloyd Consulting stickers, t-shirts and mugs are available by clicking the link to the Google form in the video description below. So that's it, viewers. The incredibly boring videos that actually we do because some of you really like them. Thank you ever so much indeed once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again soon for more not particularly interesting statistics.